All right, I just want to give you a brief introduction into the 30-day blueprint for approaching women. And I want to go over two very simple rules. And the rules are number one, make sure that you complete each mission before moving on to the next one. Um, the reason for doing this is this course is designed as an implementation system. It's not designed in such a way that you can just passively watch the videos and think that you're going to master this area of getting better with women, i.e., the approach. If you have approach anxiety or you've been struggling with approaching women and starting conversations, then just passively watching videos and reading uh, ebooks or whatever, it's not going to do a whole hell of a lot for your game. You're going to want to actually go out and start practicing and implementing the things that you've learned. Rule number two is to only move on to the next mission when you feel you have mastered the skill before it. And the reason for this is actually really simple. To give you an example, I just want you to imagine that you're learning to play guitar. Now, if you're learning to play guitar, you're going to want to first learn how to make a C chord, and then eventually you're going to want to learn how to make a G chord, and you're going to master each making each chord individually and separately from each other until eventually you're going to be learning how to transition between the chords. You're going to be learning how to correct strumming patterns, and eventually, once you master each of these things in little bite-sized chunks, you'll be able to put together a song. Another example would be uh, just to think back of when you learned how to drive a car, assuming that you learned how to drive a car. Well, the first day you got behind a wheel, you just didn't, get in your car and go. You maybe drove around the block the first day, and the second day you drove around the block, and then you practiced taking left-hand turns, and on the third day you drove around the block, you practiced taking left-hand turns, and you got onto a busier street, and eventually you were practicing your lane changes and uh, getting out on the highway and parallel parking and all of these individual aspects of driving a car. Once you kind of mastered them individually, then you became a good car driver. Well, approaching and attracting women is really no different. And if you have approach anxiety and if you feel a little nervous going up to a beautiful woman and starting a conversation, then the best way to really get good at that and to get proficient at that is to master each step individually, separately from each other, and then to build on the step that you've mastered before it. So, before you can get a woman's number, you obviously have to get her attracted to you, or you have to get her feeling comfortable enough to give you the number. So, we're really going to be starting here at the very beginning, from the very moment that you walk up to a woman to the very moment where you either go on an instant date with her, or you get her phone number, or you take her back to your apartment, or whatever that end goal is for you. Um, you're going to have to gradually work up to the level of skill that's required to make that happen. So please, 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 if you're struggling with this area of your life and you want to get good at approaching and talking to and attracting women, then make sure that you really take your time and you do each mission to completion before you move on to the next one. And I think that once you start approaching this area of your life in this particular way, you're going to be very surprised at just how quickly the results are going to come for you. So that's it for the rules and for what to expect out of this course. Um, I'll see you in the next video. And again, make sure that, I highly recommend watching the couple of videos that came before this one and having something to focus on, like your emotional, the emotional pillar, your physical pillar, or your mental pillar. I really highly recommend focusing on at least one of those areas of your life so that you kind of have a purpose separate from women while you're doing this, because women like a man who has something else going on in his life other than just trying to get good at women. You don't want to give off that player vibe, and you want to come across as a well-rounded guy that has his act together. So if you haven't already watched those videos, go ahead and rewatch those or watch them for the first time, and then you can watch the video directly under this one and get your first mission and get started for today. All right, I'll see you in the next video.